Okay, I think majority of you have joined. Thanks. So whatever it is, Visual Force or Lightning Aura components or LWC, all will be used to control or configure your end user UI part only. And there will be some part of it called a client side processing using a JavaScript where you can do, sorry, any questions? Um, I'm just muting for a while for everyone. If you have any questions, um, please unmute and you can ask. Okay. Now, um, okay. So we will be having a part of JavaScript as well in the our components and LWC and Visual Force, where we can do a client-side processing. And if you have any kind of custom law, sorry, any kind of validations or which cannot be, uh, the action is not to reach the database. So you're not trying to save or get some information from database, all just doing some logic. So you can um, offload the server. Why? Because Apex is a programming language which will be stored and compiled in a Salesforce database only. Even though it's a programming language, it executed and it will be processed in a Salesforce Salesforce.com database only. So it will be a time consuming. So it has to go to the database and compile the code or execute your inputs and come back, right? So it will be take time when you're using the Apex programming language. So when you use Lightning, where you use a client-side controlling business logics, so where we can make it faster and compared to Apex programming language. And but when you reach to a database, obviously you have to go to a intermediate called controller as a Apex. From through Apex only you can interact to the database. Okay. Now, in your development, when you're saying MVC architecture, we're going to use Visual Force or Lightning or Aura components or LWC as your view part, and Apex programming language as your controller, and Salesforce.com database is your model. So that's on the MVC architecture. Now, we have an interesting thing now called governor limits. It's kind of a limit. While in the out-of-box features, you might see in the limits, but those are it's not our business blockers really. Like when we based on our addition and subscription, it will be limit, or like they are like reasonable limits, we can say. It's not really on the server side. It is morely on the storage side, and based on your licensing and all, the storage will be changing, and it's not exact limits. So if you have objects, so you'll be having whatever the number of fields and number of objects. If you have relations, the number of relations, those are all you have limits, but you don't have limits on your logics. How big logic you're running, or like even like formulas, you have a number of characters that you can do, and you can have one more formula to like split it. But in your code there will be a more governor limits to first of all we understand what is a governor limit. So governor limits will limit the uh, time or consumption of your database servers that you are using from your programming. So we're using for Apex is like where it is executing on the Salesforce database, right? And where in model also will be going to interact and fetching the data or updating the data into the model. So while you're interacting, from your custom code from the Apex and Visual Force. So you're directly having interaction with the database, and Salesforce want to limit that. So you cannot you why because why they want to limit is Salesforce is following a multi-tenant architecture where it's having a huge server which will be used by the multiple orgs. So multiple org means like now I created one a developer org, right? And you will create one developer org. Similarly, like there are hundreds and thousands of users, they will create their own orgs. Not only developer, there'll be a production orgs, sandboxes, so many orgs they will be using. So everything will be using a Salesforce cloud platform. Cloud platform, nothing but they're having a servers where they are exposing the servers to a cloud where we can all use the servers, right? So we cannot. So if I created one Salesforce instance, they will not give me a separate server for me. They're already having a server. They will provide me access to that server. Similarly, there are hundreds and thousands of users using the same server. Not exactly all Salesforce users will not use the same server. There will be a multiple servers. At least if you take one server, there will be multiple users are using it. So they are following a multi-tenant architecture, like who are all the tenant of that server, they can use it. If you are a tenant, let's say in your apartment or any common clubhouse, so you are doing giving a parties all 365 days. Sorry, how the others can utilize it? So they has to give some limits, right? So when you have a restriction or a limit, so yearly you can participate or use these many hours sorry, or these many days, then only it could be used by some other else or it could be vacant. That's okay. Why? Because it's a common resource. It cannot be used by a single person or a group of users continuously, and where the others are losing the opportunity or losing the availing that resource, right? So even though the others are using it or not using it, doesn't matter for that. It all is, it has to give a common resource or make it available to everyone. So Salesforce also provide or like apply some limits so that everyone is getting their part of it. So no so like a group or someone is not overloading the server so that remaining or getting suffered. It's not like that. So these governor limits are limiting the usage of your Salesforce.com server for your user. So what are the governor limits, or so how we can overcome those? So all we need to do was we have to follow some best practices to not hit those governor limits and best use of a Salesforce resources within those limits. So those are multi-tenant architecture and governor limits. And we like when the topics comes, I will share like what is the governor limit for so and so. Okay, so understand like why we have governor limits and what's the multi-tenant architecture. Because of that, we are going, the Salesforce is going to apply a governor limits for your transactions. Okay, and um, from tomorrow, like we are going to start some basics of development and what all you need and what are all the different environments where we can do development and why we have a different environments based on editions. It also it will change, that we're going to discuss tomorrow. And so far, if you have any questions, please do ask so that we will wrap up for the day.
Hi, Bala.
Yeah, Karthik.
So, can we see these governor rules at any place? I mean,
Can we see the governor limits?
yeah, there is these rules in force.com or somewhere.
Yeah, there is a standard documentation that will tell about what are all the governor limits, one place. But when you having some program and you're executing, and you will be having option to know how much of your, like there will be kind concept called a logs. So whenever you write some code and compile, and when you are using it, the code, um, that called everything called a transaction. So every transaction will be created one log in Salesforce, and in that log you will be having a clear visibility. um, let's say, I will give a high level examples. Let's say you having a page where you want to give or display a number of students from a selected school, and you have some kind of check boxes to like move them to a different school, or like delete them or update some functionality out there. That's kind of a feature you have built using the Visual Force or Lightning. So when you are trying to do a search with school name, so that's kind of a one transaction. So it will create one log there, and in that log you can see clearly, okay, so what is your request, how much time it took in the database, and so there is a limit how much time you are in the database, one limit, and the limit is we're going to discuss. So and then how many records you are fetching as a single transaction. So you having number of record limit. Once you fetch, how many records you fetch, you have one limit. And once you fetch, you do some operation and you trying to save again to the database, right? Either moving to a different school or deleting or updating. So everything is a like operation on the record that you are going to save that record in the database. So how many number of records you can save to a database in a single transaction? That is a limit. And how much time I already mentioned. Similarly, like if you are sending a custom emails, like how many emails you can send. So these are like some of the examples. So we can go through the each topic anyway. And when you're discussing that limit concept, I mentioned the limit as well. So where you can see the limit is, if you want to see, look at for your particular transaction, you can go to that log and you can see what is actual limit and how much you're consuming. If you want to see all the limits at one place, you can go to Salesforce standard documentation where we have seen all governor limits. You can say Salesforce governor limits for a transaction. You'll get all the documents. I can share you the link in the group so that you can go through that.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Bala. Hi.
Yep.
So you discussed about Visual Force pages, right? So this Visual Force pages and Aura components and both are same.
Not same. Not exactly same, sorry, not exactly same. So Visual Force page is used to is a Visual Force is a mockup language. Using that, what we're going to build some pages which is similar to HTML pages. They're having its own tags, like in HTML we have like a header, paragraph, everything, right? Similarly in Visual Force also there will be some tags used to give a different UIs. Similarly, Lightning also, so what we said, Visual Force is used to build the UI similar to the classic experience of a Salesforce. So if you have to build something similar to this UI, we use a Visual Force page. Now, every org is like migrating, or like all new orgs are coming with a Lightning experience. If you want to build any of the UI similar to this kind of a rich UI, you have to use a Lightning Aura components or a LWC. Now, this will use a Aura framework. So Visual Force pages, they compile and execute on again a Salesforce servers only, not on a separate platform. Whereas Lightning, it's it it's not directly, or like it will not compile on a salesforce.com. It will use a Aura framework. For if you take a Aura components, it will use a Aura framework to compile these components, and it will have a connection with the Apex. Whenever you interacting with the Salesforce, it will be having connection with the Apex, but it will having its own framework called Aura framework, which is also available in Salesforce, but it will not directly um, what you can say, hang on, or like it will not execute on a Salesforce servers. But the Lightning Aura components or LWC or Visual Force pages all are used to build some mock-up UIs. So the end user experience, what you see here, to build those end user experiences or like a UIs, only we use all these three. But how they function, how the tags we use, everything will be different for a Visual Force page and Aura comp. The tags will be different. Functionality will be same, obviously, but how they execute, how they compile, how their tag names, everything will be different compared to Visual Force to Aura and Aura to LWC. But all they're used to build a custom UIs. Is that answers your question?
Yeah, just a follow-up question on that.
Mm,
What is the difference between LWC and the Lightning Aura components? Just a overview.
okay. So I'm saying, like, when you're saying Lightning components, it is Aura components. It uses a Aura framework to compile this what you written in this component and execute, right? So where in LWC, so they want to avoid this middle framework called Aura framework, and they want to directly maintain the web standards, like where we have open source called ECMAScript, ESS, and some other open source we're having. So it will directly run on those open sources. It will not, the LWC will not require, or it does not require any framework called Aura, and it will directly run on the open sources, and it will maintain all the web standards by avoiding the Aura framework. That's why they're calling it a web components. They're not a Aura components, they're a web components. So in simple, if you say our Lightning Aura components, it required a Aura framework where they will compile and execute, where in LWC, they're directly compile on a web itself, they're directly on the browser itself, they will compile and execute. It will not require any Aura framework or any it doesn't read any framework itself.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So here, what type of DB will usually it will be, and what is it, a cloud DB or
For LWC,
here in
Mhm.
model?
Model. Here, this one, Apex.
No, here in model.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Here. Sorry. So, yeah, cloud. So DB means here a database where we store the information, any kind of data that we store, right? Um, so it is using a Salesforce.com database. That means what itself, like I will show you, like it's to answer your question, yes. So where we can see the like so we cannot store any number of records or any size. So as your org, like let's say if you are having developer org for now, so you will be having allocated some storage for you. So the storage are again split into two parts, data storage and file storage. So this one, data storage and file storage. So I have a, for a data storage, I have only 5 MB. So hardly how many records you can use as a developer, because it's a developer org, you have very less. But if you are having your Salesforce instance in your like in your company, you can check it. It will be in GBs, not in MBs. So that's why like they're purchasing. So this is the your database storage that they provide, the file storage and data storage. Total you have a 25 MB of storage that Salesforce is offering you. Okay. So this is the storage which will be in a cloud, the salesforce.com. So if you store any records, that will utilize this 5 MB. So if you have any attachments or images that you are storing, all will be stored in this your 20 MB. Does that answer your question? This
Yeah,
is
Bhavya.
okay.
Uh,
Then just explaining here. So here you can see like you can break up of this usage. So let's say it's saying 463 KB, and what is the breakup of it? Which objects consuming more, and all you can see it. When you're really working, there will be a scenarios where you'll be running out of space. There either you can purchase a space, or you can reduce the space occupied by the unused data. So if you feel something is really more, and if you think it is not required, either you can keep the backup and delete the data in Salesforce so that you will be having some more space to use, or you can purchase additional space from the Salesforce also. So this is a place where you can identify um, which is like what are all occupying more space in your org. You have to go to storage. Okay, any other questions we have? Okay, are we good? So I take it as good. And a quick note. So today and tomorrow is going to be a demo. So you can have a decision whether to continue or what's the thing. And so 1 second, I'll stop recording.